It came to my attention the other day that one of my top 5 movies of all time isn't widely recognized. And as I sat there and kind of thought about it, it's sad because you get a lot of these mainstream movies, the sequels, the prequels, the continuations of these stories that have probably been done 100 times each with all the same ending. And it's sad what gets pushed to mainstream media and what unfortunately lies in the graveyard of streaming services. One of these movies is Mid 90s. Mid 90s is a coming to age story produced by A24. Now, for those of you aware of A24, they are quite literally one of the best production companies ever, in my opinion. They've never really produced a bad film. Now, there's been a couple of films that I didn't enjoy, but at the end of the day, I still watched them all, and while I didn't like it, I know people who love them. But mid 90s. What is mid 90s? Like I mentioned previously, mid 90s is a coming to age story. It focuses on the main character, Stevie. Stevie is this quiet, calm, collected kid in the beginning of the movie. He doesn't want to bother anybody. He doesn't, necessarily know who he wants to be just quite yet. However, that quickly changes once Stevie witnesses these kids skating outside of a store. Stevie watches them with wonder and amazement and begins to think to himself, how can I achieve that? How can I become a skateboarder? Stevie instantly runs home and starts ripping things off his wall that he deems now childish. And then we get to the first major part of the movie where it kind of climaxes for the first time. The first of many, might I add. You get to Stevie standing in his mother's room with his older brother, and he's considering stealing money for a skateboard. He wants the money so that he can buy a skateboard off one of his new friends. Spoiler alert, Stevie eventually does it. And now, while I would love to sit here and break down the entire movie, I just kind of wanted to explain the first little bit to kind of show you where the movie leads, because I don't necessarily want to ruin such a great film for the majority of the people watching. Throughout the film, you see Stevie go through a time period that I feel like a lot of older kids who never really had, that support system, that family upbringing necessarily, who ended up running to their friends as a young kid, maybe even the older crowd, just to kind of fit in and feel validated. And for me, I can almost take a page right out of Stevie's book. I started skating quite literally because I had an older friend who I thought was the bee's knees. And I started skating simply because of that. And so to see a movie that kind of takes this experience that genuinely I believe a lot of us have had, a lot of young males, 20 to 25, a lot of us, we had this during our early adolescent period. We had the friend group that our parents told us not to hang out with. We had the irresponsible decisions that could possibly have ended our lives, but thank God it didn't. And that movie, mid 90s, captures it perfectly. It truly encapsulates you into a world that isn't, let me think about this, a world that isn't strange, a world that feels familiar. It feels warm. It feels like, you're kind of reliving a piece of your history. Even if you have never skated, there are parts of the movie that I feel like everyone can relate to. Whether it's, deciding, do I drink, do I smoke as a young kid, or do I follow the influence of all of these older kids, or do I try and carve my own path? Do I stay on the good and narrow? Do I, try to develop and hang out with these cool kids, or do I, take my own path? And throughout the movie, it just displays lesson after lesson that you're watching Stevie learn from. And you learn a lot about Stevie. You learn who he is. You learn, how he acts in front of one person, then can turn around and flip on his word. I mean, there's a lot that goes on throughout the movie, and like I said, I'm not trying to break it down. I'm trying to say things that kind of give you an idea of what the movie is about without truly spoiling it all for you. But the movie is fantastic. I think everyone should sit down and watch it at least once. It changed my life the first time I saw it. It was like my first A24 introductory film. That's not the only reason it lives in one of my top 5, but that's quite honestly a 60% of the reason. It is a very heartwarming film. It's something that I recommend everybody watch at least once. And don't really have anything else to say about it. I kind of just wanted to get on here and show some love for mid-90s. It's such a fantastic film, and I highly, highly, highly recommend it. So, yeah, y'all have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.